Happy Christmas, everyone. Happy holidays, whatever you celebrate. Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, Shalom, whatever. I don't judge, even if you just want Present Day. Happy Presents Day. I don't know. Anyways, happy holidays. I'm Jason with Superhero Deep Dive, and I've got a great show today. Alright, before I get into it, let me give you all the disclaimers I have to do so I can say that I am not legally bound by things. Alright. The information pulled is from different sources across the internet and may or may not be completely complete, but they do give a really good insight on the current superhero we're talking about. I always have to put this in because I'll get messages every so often talking about a storyline I may have missed or something like that. And it's not that I am leaving stuff out because I don't like it or anything like that. It's mainly because I feel like even if it's detrimental or beneficial to the character itself, I feel that it may take away from the essence of the character. I want people that may not be familiar to hear about and be like, oh wow, I should look into this and learn about them myself. So I want to give people a great introduction and so forth. Also, if this is Tuesday or Thursday, you can hear me throughout the day on Outworld Fleet Radio, and that is www.con-ventional.com/radio. I'm on throughout the day, Tuesdays and Thursdays. If you're watching on YouTube, welcome. Comment, like, subscribe, share. When you comment, please feel free to leave, questions, remarks, critiques, requests for future episodes. I've actually had a lot of requests come in, so I'm excited about that. I am very happy because I try to respond to everything, or at the very least like comments. So everything gets read and acknowledged in some form. Some are just kind of conversation enders, so I'll just like it. But I do get really excited about the growing YouTube community watching the videos. And if you're listening to me wherever you listen to your favorite podcast, welcome. Thank you for contributing to the Talk Nerdy to Me network. I am ranked currently number 2 in the network, right below our Friends with Benefits podcast with Chris and Chris. I highly recommend you guys checking them out. They do a live Twitch stream every Tuesday night at, I believe, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And they also air their podcast every Wednesday. So check it out. It's a lot of fun and it's great. It's actually my favorite podcast. And I'm one of their favorite podcasts. So I am my favorite podcast, partial favorite podcast on the absolute favorite podcast network. Think about that. If you guys ever want to reach out to me, you can catch me on Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch under Super Deep Dive. On Twitter and Instagram, I do post superhero memes throughout the week. And every week I'm going to try to start posting up. I may have actually shot myself in the foot with the holidays, but I will try to set up YouTube videos of superhero memes throughout the week. So yeah, that'll be a lot of fun. And you can always email me directly at b4itall@yahoo.com. So b4itall@yahoo.com. I get frequent emails, so thank you guys very much for that. All right, this week I am going to be talking about the original Green Lantern. Not talking about Kyle Rayner, not talking about Guy Gardner, and not even talking about John Stewart. I'm not even talking about Hal Jordan. Get out of here with that mess. I'm going with Alan Scott, the actual original Green Lantern. He's been one of my favorites because when I was a kid, my dad gave me this big book that he used to have that had a bunch of old superhero stories in it, and this was one of them. So I always kind of latched onto it. Alright, so Alan Scott, the original Green Lantern. He was created after his creator was named Nodal. And Noodle became inspired by the characters from Greek, Norse, and Middle Eastern myths and tales, including Aladdin from 1001 Nights. And he sought to create a popular character who fought evil with the aid of a magic ring that grants him a variety of supernatural powers. After debuting in All American Comics, Alan Scott soon became popular enough to sustain his own comic book, Green Lantern. Around this time, DC also began experimenting with fictional crossovers between his characters, leading towards a shared universe of characters, which was unique. And that's awesome, because now we can actually build stories on top of each other. Everything's not so one-dimensional. It's great. As one of the publisher's most popular heroes, Alan became a founding member of the Justice Society of America, one of the first such teams of mystery men or superheroes in comic books. And as Nodell recalled in an outdated latter-day interview, or an undated latter-day interview, not outdated, when I sent it in, I waited into the second week before I heard the word come in. I was ushered into Max Gaines' office, who is a publisher, and after sitting a long time and flipping through the pages of my presentation, he announced, "We like it, and then get to work." I did the first 5 pages of an 8-page story, and then they called in Bill Finger to help. We worked on it for 7 years, from 1941 to 1947. So that's pretty cool. I mean, this is a genuine golden age hero right here. I mean, we're looking at this hero is 80 something years old at this point. So, take that. Thousands of years ago, a mystical green flame fell to Earth in ancient China as a meteor. A voice in the flame predicted that it would act 3 times, once to bring death, once to bring life, and once to bring power. For the first prophecy, a lamp maker created the green metal of the meteor into a lamp. In fear and as punishment for what they thought sacrilege, the local villagers killed him, only to be destroyed by a sudden burst of the green flame. For the second, in modern times, the lamp came into the hands of a patient of a mental institution who fashioned the lamp into a modern train lantern. The green flame restored his sanity and gave him a new life. For the third, by 1940, after having already fulfilled the first 2/3 of his prophecy, the lantern fashioned from the meteoric metal fell into the hands of Alan Scott, a young railroad engineer. Following a railroad bridge collapse, the flame instructs Scott in how to fashion a ring from its metal to give him fantastic powers as the superhero Green Lantern. He adopts a colorful costume of red, purple, brown, yellow, and green, and becomes a crime fighter in his first adventure, defeating the crooks who caused the accident. He also discovers his power's weaknesses to wood when he is bludgeoned with a club. Alan is a founding member of the Justice Society of America and its second chairman. Scott uses his ring to fly, walk through solid objects by moving through the 4th dimension, paralyze or blind people temporarily hypnotizing them, and creating rays of energy, melt metal as with the blowtorch, and cause dangerous objects to glow, among other things. It could also allow him and others to time travel. Occasionally, he uses it to read minds or create solid objects and force fields in the manner usually associated with fellow Green Lantern Hal Jordan. His ring could protect him against any object made of metal, but would not protect him against any wood or plant-based objects. As part of Scott's early history, it's filled with retroactive continuity. All-Star Squadron Annual Number 3 states that the JSA fought the villain Ian Karkle, who inadvertently imbued them with life energy stolen from an innocent victim. The energy slowed their aging, allowing Scott and several other members, as well as their spouses, to remain active into the late 20th century without infirmity. The events of that incident also led Scott, who had failed to save the victim from whom the energy was stolen, to take a leave of absence from the JSA, explaining why the character vanished from the roster for a time. Scott was also a member of the Justice Society of America in 1951, when the team was investigated by the Joint Congressional Un-American Activities Committee. That's a long committee name. A fictional organization based on the real-life House Un-American Activities Committee. They were accused of possible communist sympathies and asked to reveal their identities. The members declined their request, and many of the members retired in the 1950s. It's kind of like, if you think about how the movie The Incredibles started. They did stuff, people started getting upset, and they were all kind of forced into retirement. That's kind of how this happened here. Which sucks, because heroes are inspirational. And the fact that they would have to close up shop because they are trying to protect their identity and stuff, it just stinks. But they did this a long time ago, before Marvel's Civil War, so keep that in mind. All right, the team rebands in the 1960s with Alan Scott as a member, although little is known of their adventures during this time, save for the stories about their team-ups with the Justice League, and the Parallel World Earth 1, which is a cross-universe adventure Scott shares with Earth 1's Green Lantern, Hal Jordan. It was eventually revealed that in the late 1960s that Scott marries the woman with the dual identity Rose and Thorn. They have a pair of children who would grow up to become superheroes, Jade and Obsidian, of the team Infinity Inc. In the 1980s, Scott married his reformed former nemesis, Molly Mayne, also known as the Harlequin, reconciling with his son and daughter. For a time, the Starheart, which was the green meteor that became the Lantern. For a time, the Starheart became part of Scott's body as he adopts the name Sentinel, which is an awesome name. That's a cool name. Good job on that. Becoming a founding member of the new JSA, which is Justice Society of America. Thanks to the rejuvenation properties of the Starheart, Scott's physical body is again temporarily revitalized so that he resembles a man in his 30s or early 40s. This drives his wife Molly, who has not been affected, to sell her soul to the demon Neron in exchange for youth. Alan enters the demonic realm with help from entities such as the Phantom Stranger and Zatanna, and with Kyle Rayner's aid, manages to win Molly's soul back, reuniting Molly's essence with her soulless being. He has since been physically altered again so that he more closely resembles his true chronological age. He returns to using the name Green Lantern during the JSA's battle with Mordru, and he continues to fight crime in his original costumed identity, rebuilding a ring and serving as an elder statesman to the Justice Society of America and to the superhero community in general. Wow. He went through the whole gambit with it, which is pretty cool. I like this because it kind of gives a perspective on the hero. He ended up retiring, coming back into action, and then kind of retiring again because it's just so much. I mean, you got to think this guy's been battling stuff since the 40s. So, I mean, it's just so much to handle. Even if you're physically able, even if you're physically still fit with it, just the mental toll and the emotional toll, I mean, it's got to wear you down. Okay, in Green Lantern Rebirth, Alan and his daughter Jade assist the surviving members of the Green Lantern Corps, Hal Jordan, who had been possessed by the ancient fear entity Parallax, John Stewart, Guy Gardner, Kyle Rayner, and Kilowog, in defeating the Parallax-possessed Ganthet. Alan is increasingly physically weakened due to Parallax's failed attempts to control him as it did with Jordan, Stewart, Gardner, and Kilowog. So it decides to kill him instead. However, Jordan, with the aid of the Spectre, breaks free from Parallax's influence and saves Alan from the fear entity. During the Rann-Thanagar War, Kyle Rayner's power ring reveals that Scott is an honorary member of the Green Lantern Corps, which is cool. I mean, he should be, because this dude is teaching other heroes what it means to be a hero. So I like that. He's there as an honorary member. So soon, Alan Scott was approached by the spy organization Checkmate, which was reorganizing under the United Nations control. They invited Alan to become their White King, which he accepted. His time with Checkmate, though, was brief. Scott soon found himself in a moral conflict with Checkmate's Black Knight, Sacha Bordeaux, over the violent nature of Checkmate, particularly after Bordeaux and her team slaughtered dozens of Cobra operatives. Not G.I. Joe's Cobra, different Cobra. Same pronunciation, different spelling. It's Cobra with a K to make it more edgy. But they killed a bunch of Cobra operatives during a raid on a facility. Bordeaux contended that the end justified the means, while Scott adhered to the principle that heroes should not kill unless absolutely necessary. Bordeaux responded to this by suggesting that Scott should resign. Concurrent with his internal conflict, Scott and the White Queen Amanda Waller attempted to keep the organization from being discontinued by political forces. Another JSA member, Mr. Terrific, succeeded him in the post. So he did end up leaving, and Mr. Terrific took over as the White King. So pretty interesting. Let's see. Meanwhile, Alan Scott was urged by the Justice League to reestablish the JSA as an organization that cares for the legacy of its heroes. When this time with Checkmate came to an end, Alan resumed an active role in the JSA. During the Blackest Night storyline, Alan and the rest of the JSA appear in specifically battling the reanimated Kal-El, which isn't the normal Superman Kal-El, like Kal-El. It's Kal with just a big L, which is the old style, Golden Age version of Superman. And Black Lantern versions of Dead Justice Society Americas. After Hakeem Thunder is knocked out, Alan is one of the heroes who combines his powers into a Black Lantern bomb designed to mimic Hakeem Thunderbolt's abilities, destroying all of the Black Lanterns in New York. In the final battle of the event, his daughter Jade is resurrected by the power of white light. Because there is a White Lantern, too. Alan is shown in the arms of Obsidian, convulsing and writhing as the green light pours from his body. His body possessed, Alan flies off with his JSA teammates in hot pursuit. A chase which eventually leads to Germany. In Germany, the JSA meet up with Batman's new Justice League and find that Jade, who had been staying on Oa since her resurrection, has returned to Earth in sight of a green meteor, which is revealed to be the legendary Starheart that gave Alan his powers. Sebastian Faust tells the two teams that the Starheart has been gradually taking control of people on Earth for quite some time. And now that it is on Earth, it's growing more powerful and driving metahumans all over the world insane. Jade states that the Starheart captured her in space and purposely brought her to Earth to find Alan, and also states that it's her fault that her father is now in danger. Just then, Alan awakens and his costume transforms into a suit of armor from the Kingdom Come storyline, which turns into this almost like a giant green medieval knight type armor. And he then tells the assembled heroes that he intends on destroying the world. Now, I'm going to stop right here for just a quick second. If you guys have never read the Kingdom Come storyline, I really suggest you do it. It is probably, in my opinion, it is the best superhero story, period. The best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be. And if you are a wrestling fan, I hope you can appreciate that statement because I know what that statement means. But yes, it is absolutely a beautiful statement. In fact, or a beautiful story. And if you are into audiobooks at all, which if you're listening to the podcast, you might actually be, you can actually listen to the audio version. They did it almost like an old radio show of Kingdom Come on YouTube. I am 99% certain. Let me actually bring it up, and we're going to do field trip time. Field trip time, Everybody, it's field trip time. Trying to stall while I bring up my computer and YouTube. I don't know what the words are, but I'm just trying to stall for time. All right, let's see here. I am loading up YouTube right now. You're welcome for that song, by the way. I hope you enjoyed it because you may never hear it again. All right, let's see here. Kingdom Come audiobook. Let me see if that's what we look up. All right. Yes. There is one. It says it's like 2 hours long. If you look up Kingdom Come, the complete audio epic, that's what you look up. It's amazing. It's amazing. It's awesome. And it's really, really good. Like, it's not just amazing and awesome. It's really, really good. So I suggest it. All right, back to it. Let's get back into it. All right. Starman is sent into space to search for Alan Scott and finds that he has constructed a massive fortress on the surface of the moon. Before Starman can warn the others, Alan appears in front of him and tears his gem, which is the source of his abilities, from his chest, thus rendering him powerless. The Starheart begins using its influence to corrupt various metahumans with magical or elemental abilities, which creates chaos across the globe. Realizing that the heroes must defeat Alan in order to put an end to the madness taking hold of the Earth, Batman recruits Miss Martian in order to get a mental lock on Starman, which in turn provides the Justice League with Alan's location. Batman then assembles a small strike force consisting of himself, Jade, Hourman, Donna Troy, Jesse Quick, and Mr. America, all of whom have a low chance of being possessed by the Starheart. And that's because mainly they don't rely on magic, and they're not elemental. So he kind of had to do what he had to do. All right. Mr. Miracle arrives and informs the team that Alan is has most likely installed Fourth World defenses in his base, and offers to use his knowledge of such technology to guide them through the fortress. Jade uses her powers to restore Alan to normal, and with his sanity restored, Alan chooses to allow the Emerald City he created on the moon to stay, and eventually the city becomes populated by various magical creatures throughout the DC universe. So he just keeps it there. He's like, yeah, this can stay. That's crazy to me because that means that he actually made a construct that's permanent. Not like Hal Jordan, who can, he can make a cage or he can make a car, whatever he wants out of his ring. But if he stops concentrating on it, it goes away. This guy made something that he doesn't have to be there anymore. He can abandon it. And it's still going to be there. And people are going to hang out there. Like, that's crazy. All right. Let's see here. After the event of the Brightest Day, Alan and the rest of the Justice Society of America travel to the city of Monument Point after it's attacked by a superhuman terrorist named Scythe. Just before being defeated, Scythe snaps Alan's neck. In the subsequent story, it's revealed that Scythe is a product of Nazi genetic engineering, and that Alan and Jay Garrick, who was the Flash with like the bucket head, looks like a platter or plate on his head, a giant bowl, I don't know, some kind of eatery, has been tasked by the president with killing the experiment back when he was an infant during World War II. The two heroes could not agree on the course of action, and as a result, Scythe was allowed to live. Dr. Midnight discovers that the injuries Alan sustained have rendered him paralyzed, and that any attempt to heal himself could break his constant concentration, which could result in the Starheart once again regaining control of his body. Jade eventually visits her bedridden father in the Emerald City and offers to use her abilities to help him walk again. Alan declines his daughter's offer, reasoning that if the Starheart were to once again take over his body, it could result in the deaths of everyone in the city. Eclipso eventually attacks the city, which results in Jesse Quick having to get Alan to safety. Alan eventually constructed a suit of armor from the Starheart energy, which acted as an exoskeleton and gave him back a degree of mobility. He seemingly dissipated, however, after releasing the full power of the Starheart to destroy the fallen god called Darkin, or Da'arkin. I don't know, there's an apostrophe there. Da'arkin. The JSA buried an empty coffin, though. Okay, so that's his history. Now, he did make a return with the, I believe, DC Rebirth, where they kind of explored multiple Earths again. He did come back, and this time he came back as like a homosexual man, which is fine. The only reason I didn't really include that is because it looks like they kind of went back and forth with it, and I haven't read current stories, so I can't necessarily speak with any authority on it. But I'm not super thrilled about making him homosexual when he's been a character for 80 years, and like an established character for 80 years, and he's had children and families and, things like that. I don't mind homosexual characters in the least bit. I just don't think that they needed to make someone that was already established and then change him in that way. If that makes any sense. Like, if he wanted to pass on his legacy to a new Green Lantern and actually give his Starheart ring to a new one, and then you can show him being kind of like in this kind of like exoskeleton or something, to where he's still paralyzed but he's just able to do basic things and be a mentor. I think that would be awesome. And then have that new Green Lantern be homosexual. Because then you're not stepping on things that have already been established. And that's just my big thing, is like, we've already got a wealth of stories with him, and a good number of those involve him being in love with or involved with members of the opposite sex. So it shouldn't be an issue, But that's my thoughts. What are your thoughts on it? Ultimately, I really just don't care, because I feel a lot of comics nowadays are kind of just pushing to get stories out without actually getting quality stories out. And I think it's, I just haven't been impressed lately with comics. So what do you guys think? Let me know. Leave a comment in the comment section, or send me an email, or send me a message on Twitter or Instagram under Super Deep Dive. I'm definitely open to debate on it. And you can change my mind if you want, because it's open. It's wide open. It's just my whole thing is that he's already an established character. All right, so powers. Alan Scott wields a magical ring that can produce a variety of effects. The extent of the ring's ability has never been rigorously defined, but three consistent traits are that it allows him to fly, that its effects are accompanied by a green light, and it cannot directly affect anything made of wood. In Scott's first appearance, his body would glow green or be bathed in a green light whenever he used his power, such as passing through a wall or flying. During his earliest appearances, he would project a beam of green light from his ring that could do a variety of things, such as move objects, melt metal, shrink objects, or put out fires. He rarely used it as an actual weapon, but preferred to fight with his fist, just like any other pulp hero would do. The ring made him invulnerable to any weapon not made of wood. In later appearances, he started conjuring solid objects. These objects would be of any shape and size, such as a sword to cut a rope, chains to bind a prisoner, a parachute to slow his fall, even though he could fly, and a disembodied fist to beat his foe. Well, it's better that than a boxing glove on an arrow. Just saying. How do you ever fit that thing in the quiver anyway? That makes no sense to me. But anyways. Alright. but they were always pure green in color and could vanish or would vanish as soon as he stopped concentrating on them. Alan controlled these objects telekinetically, and these conjured objects, later referred to as constructs, would become the signature power of Green Lanterns in later decades. At the start of many stories, Alan charged his ring by touching it to a Green Lantern, which would give him 24 hours of power regardless of how heavy he used it. Nowadays, most of the rings have like a power meter, or they tell you how much percentage. So it may last more than a day. It's kind of like a cell phone, you know. You may end up doing a lot with it, playing games on it or whatever. And it only lasts, a matter of hours. You have to recharge it when you get home or something. But if you don't use a phone for a while, if you just have it sitting there, like if you're out on vacation or something, it may last you a whole weekend. Something like that is what the new or the current rings do. He could do whatever. It just had to be recharged every day. All right. So Alan's ring cannot affect anything made of wood or plant matter. He can conjure a green shield to block bullets, but a wooden club will pass right through it effortlessly. I cannot pronounce that. Solomon Grundy, who was born on a Monday, a zombie whose body is partially made from swamp matter, is highly resistant to Alan's powers. And that's why they were constant enemies. I thought that was pretty awesome. I never actually thought about it like that. I always saw that they would fight. And I'm like, well, why do they have him fighting like just some giant zombie guy? Like, it doesn't really make sense. But because he came from the swamp, he's got that plant matter which helps him get past Alan Scott's powers. So that's really cool. In the mid-1980s, DC merged Alan Scott and Hal Jordan into a shared setting and eliminated parallel universe from the narrative. Because these two characters were unrelated, the writers altered Alan's powers to differentiate him from Hal. Alan's constructs were now wreathed in green flame, highlighting their magical and not technological nature. He physically merged with his lantern, meaning he no longer needed to recharge as Hal needed to. And in 1995, he lost his magical ring, but learned to manifest his powers through his glowing hands instead. This change was later reversed back in Justice Society of America, or JSA number 50. In the beginning, Alan's power was vaguely connected to the mystical power of the living world. Green, as are the plants, the growing things. So maybe because it was related to plants, or the green, as they call it, maybe that's why it had a weakness to it, because it was kind of like it couldn't fight very well against itself. Maybe. Okay. He did actually have an oath. It says, "And I shall shed my light over dark evil, for the dark things cannot stand the light of the Green Lantern." It sounds kind of biblical. It's pretty cool. All right, so what do you guys think of Alan Scott? What do you guys think of this? Let me know. We got a couple more sections to do, and yeah, we're gonna wrap this up. But this is pretty cool. I've always really loved Alan Scott. Like, I thought he was awesome. Alan Scott appears in the Smallville live-action series episode Absolute Justice, portrayed by Doug Penton. This version operated as a hero and served as a CEO of an unnamed broadcasting company in the 1970s before he was arrested for fraud by the government, who were on a mission to take down the Justice Society of America. Scott, like the other members of the team, tried to take the blame for several crimes, though they were never convicted. As the law was now aware of his superhero identity, Scott retired from heroics. His ring and battery were later stored in the museum that the Justice Society used as their lair. And in the television series comic book continuation of Smallville Season 11, it is revealed that Scott was not a member of the Green Lantern Corps and got his power ring and battery through unknown means. And these are just some fun facts with it. Alan Scott appears in the Batman Brave and Bold animated series. Episode Crisis 22,300 Miles Above Earth. And this version is a member of an aged Justice Society of America. Alan Scott also makes a brief non-speaking cameo appearance in the Young Justice animated series episode Humanity via archival footage of the JSA. Let's see, Alan Scott appears in the live-action DC Universe CW series Stargirl, portrayed by an uncredited actor. This version is a member of the Justice Society of America before his team was attacked and killed by the Injustice Society. While his ring disappeared, Courtney Whitmore claims his powerless battery in the present in the hopes of finding someone to succeed him. Scott's daughter Jade later appears in season 2. I hope that's not spoiler alerts. I don't think I've seen season 2. I have it. I just don't think I've actually gotten around to watch it. Alan Scott will also appear in the upcoming live-action HBO Max Green Lantern television series, portrayed by Jeremy Irvine. Alright, films. Alan Scott makes a cameo appearance in the opening credits of the DC Universe animated film Justice League: The New Frontier, wherein he is forced out of heroics by the government. In video games, Alan Scott appears in DC Universe Online. And that's really it. He just hasn't gotten a whole lot of coverage because they've given it to newer versions of the character. Some other fun facts. Alan Scott was born in Metropolis under the zodiac sign of the Libra. So he's a Libra, ladies. Or I guess guys now. I don't know. People. He's a Libra, people. I don't follow horoscopes. His full name is actually Alan Ladd Wellington Scott. Alan Scott was a graduate of Hale University. And in 1947, Green Lantern was a member of Gotham City's Analyst Club. So there's some fun facts about him. He's had a rich history. And I kind of like how he's associated with Metropolis, vaguely. And vaguely associated with Gotham City. Because, those are big hero cities. Oh, fun fact or fun question for you guys. I've had this debate with other people. And, never really came to a agreement on it. What city do you guys think Gotham City is based on? I know in the comics, let's see here. Hold on. What city is Gotham based on? Gotham City is traditionally depicted in New Jersey. I don't agree with that. I mean, they're saying it should be in New Jersey because it's close enough to Metropolis, which is very obviously New York. I know visually it's always reminded me of Chicago. So I've always claimed that Gotham is Chicago, period. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. But what do you guys think? I know it's a fictional city, so it can be stylized as one place and be located in another. But realistically, if you were to go to Gotham City now, where would you go? I would go to Chicago in order to go to Gotham City. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Send me an email. Send me a message on Twitter or Instagram. I definitely want to hear your feedback on it. But in the meantime, we are going to go and talk about power expansions. Now, this is my favorite part because we take the hero and we kind of go and expand on it to where, should we make it into a new comic book? Should we do an animated series? Will it be good with a TV series? A movie? What kind of stuff would you do? It could be anything. And I was looking at this, and you know what I'd like to see? I'd like to see a totally different take on Alan Scott. And just kind of hear me out on it. He set the stage for so many superheroes. But if we made a movie based on that, it would just be a generic superhero movie. So let's mix it up a bit. Like, I've always looked at Alan Scott as a knight or medieval type warrior. Going by his turn into a King Arthur-like figure in Kingdom Come, it really did just fit him so well. What I'd like to see is his story set in medieval times. Like let's have him stay true to a couple of things though. Like, let's have him find that mystical green meteor that came down. Let's have him make a ring from it, and then he can discover the powers with that. And with that, he turns into a Green Knight and calls himself Sentinel, which for a time he went by anyways. But this will play off his original kind of loose-fitting costume, because he can call upon his powers to armor him up if he needed to. And play it up with some green armor. And it'll also play towards his weakness against wood, since back in medieval times, there were plenty of wooden weapons still being used. I did some research and I found out that not all arrows had like iron or stone arrowheads. Some of them were just like sharpened to a point and fired like that, almost like a bolt, like a crossbow bolt or something, Like he would totally have to deal with that. Not everyone in medieval times had a sword. You had your bow staffs. You had bow and arrows. You had clubs. I mean, people had things. People had to make do with what they had. You had axes. But I mean, stuff could happen. What if he's fighting someone with an axe and the metal part can't break through, but the guy like all of a sudden whips up the handle and hits him with the handle and figures out that hurts him? Things can happen back then. And we can have him do something heroic, like take on the parents of Morgan Le Fay. We can have him meet up with Merlin, who maybe knew more about the meteor, and help him set up the whole mythology of Camelot. Like, he could be the precursor to Camelot. So, like, what if Alan Scott helped put the sword in the stone for Arthur to get, and like the stone is actually the meteor where the power had maybe burnt out on it or something, something like that. And he became the inspiration for the legendary Green Knight. So in essence, let's have him start the whole superhero trope in history as far as the DC universe goes. And what could also work out in a funny way? What if Vandal Savage was his main enemy, and Vandal Savage was actually the father of Morgan Le Fay? And if you're not familiar with Morgan Le Fay, that's all right. Morgan Le Fay was she was like a female sorceress, from what I understand. And if I'm incorrect, please correct me. But let's just go with it for the time being. She had a son that ended up killing King Arthur. So Merlin and Morgan Le Fay were like bitter rivals kind of thing. And Morgan Le Fay was really evil. So, we can have him set up that whole trope, because what he's doing is, we're taking this character that's been well established, and we are changing it up but we're changing it up in a way that's still respectful to the character, which I don't think is a bad thing. There's sometimes where, you change things on a superhero that's not really respectful to them, and that's where it gets messed up. There's some takes that you can have on it. Like, let's look at the Joker movie. They kind of changed it up a little bit. They took some of the stories and kind of merged them together, and they put him in a situation where Batman supposedly created the Joker, right? But this one was created before Batman. So, You know, what can you do, right? But the movie was great. So let's do something similar. In the essence of taking the story and being true to its roots, as far as who the character is, but we can, and the extent of powers and stuff, but we can mix up the origin a bit. I think it'd be wonderful. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments or send me an email at b4itall@yahoo.com. You can also send me a message or catch me on Twitter, Twitch, and Instagram under Super Deep Dive. And use the hashtag superherodeepdive. I do post memes throughout the week on Twitter and Instagram, and you can always send me a personal message through there. But in the meantime, guys, I'm going to head out. I hope everyone has a great holiday. It's not quite time yet, but it's coming close to it. And I will have a Christmas special soon, or a holiday special. Let me be better at that. But yeah, we are going to have a holiday special soon. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be great for comic fans. So I'm looking forward to it. And I hope you guys have a great week coming up. Everyone be blessed, be safe, be happy, be smart. And if you're not smart, don't get caught. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.